Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Callum Smith returned to action on the undercard of the Galaliafy versus Sonny Edwards DAZN show. He was actually his was the first fight on the undercard. So you don't get that often, do you? A former world champ, unified world champ, being the opener. But it was an 8-rounder, and it was a rust shedder really, because Smith has been out of action since he got smashed up in January by Artur Beterbiev. He fought a Colombian journeyman by the name of Carlos Galvan, who came in with 20 wins with 19 KOs, so he could pop a bit. 14 defeats with 9 by stoppage, so he's vulnerable, and 2 draws. And Galvan did his part in the sense that, he's been match tough throughout his whole career. Willie Monroe Jr. he's fought, Zanibek, Alam Hanalei, Caleb Plant, I think he's fought. He's fought some been thrown in deep from the word go. And he still came with a little bit of ambition. He was going to have a go. He doesn't look like a light heavyweight. He looks to me like a super middle, whereas, Callum Smith always looked like a light heavyweight. Even when he was at super middle, you were thinking, Christ, this guy's huge for the weight. And he probably stayed at 168 for a bit too long. There's no shame in losing to Beterbiev. Beterbiev is, obviously, he's the undisputed champ now. He's a magnificent offensive fighter. And this, Callum Smith did shed some rust in this fight, but Galvan had a little go. He was going forward. He was trying to be proactive, but Smith didn't really have to look for him. Galvan wasn't really running. He was there. He was trying to jab with Smith. He was trying to exchange hooks, but Smith was just too big, too strong, and too good. And he banged in some excellent body punches. Galvan, you could tell he didn't like the body work. Who does? He was still trying to fight back. But like I say, he looked like a weight division smaller. And in the 4th round, he took a knee from, I think it was a left hook to the head. This is Galvan, took a knee, got up. In the 5th round, a couple of knockdowns. I think the first was from a hook to the body from Smith. And then he got Galvan on the floor again, and a towel was coming in, but it wasn't necessary because the referee stopped the fight. Now, I have to say that, this was, Galvan was a game journeyman, but he was not going to ever trouble Smith. And this was a little rust cheddar, 5 rounds or 4.5 rounds of reasonable work just to sort of edge your way back into it. The obvious fight, well, I suppose there are a couple of fights that can be made domestically anyway for Smith, and one of them is Joshua Buatsi, undefeated. And I know that Anthony Yard's still floating around. What he's doing promotionally, I do not know, but I think Smith Buatsi is a very, very attractive fight. Very attractive fight. With Anthony Yard, you just never know, do you? You never know where he is, what he's doing, what his plan is. Does he even have a plan? With Buatsi, I think that's a very makeable fight, a very attractive fight. And it wouldn't surprise me if they did match Smith with Buatsi, because Smith has got something left. It's not like he's a shot fighter by any stretch of the imagination. And he says he wants to become a 2-weight world champ. He's 34 now. And he's very big for the weight. I mean, he looks like a light heavy 6'3", not an ounce of fat on him. And to be honest, if you take out the Beterbiev defeat, I know he only had, since he fought Canelo in 2020, he's only had 4 fights, so he's been inactive, but he's got to get his engine running. He's got to, he waited around for the Beterbiev fight, probably because it was a big payday. But against Matteo Baudelaire, who he chinned in 4 rounds, and that was quite a picturesque knockout. And he fought another guy who he did in 2 rounds. It's the inactivity is going to hurt you. So he's got to get his skates on. 34 years old. Yeah, he can have one final run at world level. A great way of gate crashing the party is to take on Buatsi and defeat him, or possibly Yard and defeat him. But I think Buatsi is the man they're going to go for. And yeah, I think there's still something left in Callum Smith. I do. Interestingly, he had his brother Stephen Smith, who's now making his name as a trainer. He's training Charlie Edwards as well. He had his brother in the corner. I think Buddy McGirt and Callum Smith are still going to work together, but McGirt couldn't come over for this particular fight. It probably wasn't worth it. It was against a lower level opponent. But Smith says that he's still going to work with Buddy McGirt. That's not a bad thing because McGirt is a good trainer. And it might do Smith good to get some work over in America. Travel a bit. I know he's done it before. He's fought in Jeddah. He fought Beterbiev in Canada. So he's travelled a bit, but it's all good experience. And I don't see a reason why he can't still make a splash at world level. But again, at 34, with the inactivity, he's really going to have to get his skates on and try and gate crash the party, like I say. But what do you think? Did you see this? There isn't really much. You can't really tell much from it because it was against a lower level opponent. But what do you think about Callum Smith? Do you think he's looking for one big payday, or do you think he genuinely wants that other title? Could be a bit of both, couldn't it? But let me know. Let me know what you think. If you've got any opinions, leave them below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. That would help us a great deal. And also, if you could hit the like button, that would be fantastic too. Thanks as always. More boxing to come tonight, and I'll see you later. Bye for now.